And now I'm going to do a screen share. Share sound.
Next to me.
Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are continuing with our Bhagavad Gita journey. Very happy to have Divi Shakti Didi by my side. Jamuna Priya Didi and Steve also here. So we've been reaching chapter 16 for quite a while. Somehow there was always some obstacle. Now we're beginning. Bit of an intimidating chapter title. Daiva Sora Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, the godly and ungodly natures. And what can we say? We are interested in being servants of Krishna, right? And a lot of the content in Bhagavad Gita is dealing more with the modes of nature, the good, dealing with good and bad in the mundane sense. And we want to bear in mind that that's not the be all and end all, but it's a helpful reference point. It's a as much as possible, we're trying to follow a godly and sattvic way of life, right? That gives us a good platform for a spiritual life. And we also understand, this is also mentioned in the scriptures, that through service to Krishna, all good qualities will come. That's really our conception, actually. Through addressing that central point of devotion to Krishna, everything comes from that. And there's one famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, not Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, which I cannot remember right now, but which is addressing this point that, and it is mentioned in many verses actually, but there's one verse in particular which is saying, that through service, through devotion to Krishna, all good qualities will come. And actually, one who has so-called good qualities, but no devotion to Krishna, they actually have nothing. They're compared to, in another place, they're compared to ornaments on a dead body. So that's something to keep in mind, when we come to these sections of Bhagavad Gita. So, okay, we can begin without further ado. And we can hear our Gurudev chanting these verses. Let me get this little Zoom tab out of the way. I need to move this. Okay, there we go. Oh, wait. No, this is wrong. This is not the right chapter. Here we go. Close some of these tabs.
षोडश अध्याय दैवासुर संपद विभाग योग। श्री भगवान उवाच अभयं सत्य संशुद्धिर ज्ञान योग व्यवस्थिति दानं दमश्च यज्ञश्च श्रद्धायस्तपार्जवम् अहिंसा सत्यमक्रोधस्त्याग शान्तिरपैशुनम् दयाभूतेष्वलूर्ध्वं मार्गवं श्रीह्रीरचापलं तेजक्षमा धृति शौच मद्रोह नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीमभिजातस्य भारत दम्भो दर्पोऽभिमानश्च क्रोधः पारुष्यमेव च अज्ञानं चाभिजातस्य पार्थ सम्पदमासुरीम् दैवी सम्पद विमोक्षाय निबन्धायासुरीमता मासु च सम्पदं दैवीमभिजातोऽसि पाण्डव द्वौ भूतसर्गौ लोकेऽस्मिन् दैव आसुर एव च दैवोत विस्तरशः प्रोक्तं आसुरं पार्थ मे शृणु प्रवृत्तिंच निवृत्तिंच जनान विदुरासुरा न शौचं नापि चाचारो न सत्यं तेषु विद्यते असत्यम अप्रतिष्ठान्ते जगदाहुरनीश्वरम अपरस्पर संभूतम किमन्नत् काम हेतुकम एतां दृष्टिमवष्टभ्य नष्टात्मानोल्पबुद्धयः प्रभवन्तु उग्रकर्माणः क्षयाय जगत्तो हिता काममाश्रित्य दुष्पूरं दम्भमानमदान्विता मोहाद् गृहीत सद्ग्राहान् प्रवर्तन्ते शुचिव्रताः चिन्तामपरि.
Okay. All right. So let's chant those verses together. So that's verses 1 to 10. And welcome Scarlett, who's also just joined. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Vayam Sattva Samshidya Jnana Yoga Vivastitihi Danam Dhamascha Yagyascha Svajayasta Paharjavam Ahimsa Satyam Akrodas Tyaga Shantir Paishunam Daya Bhuteshvalo Duktvam Mardavam Hirachapalam Teja Kshama Shocham Adroho Natimanita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivam Abhijatasya Bharata Dambudharpa Bhimanascha Krodha Parushameva cha Ajnanam cha Abhijatasya Partha Sampadam Asudim Daivi Sampadi Mokshaya Nibandaya Sorimata Mashu cha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava Dvo bhuta sargaloke smindaiva sura eva cha daiva vistara shaprokta asuram parta meshinu pravittin cha nivittin cha janana vidasaraha na shocham na pichachado na satyam teshu vidyate asatyam apratishtam te jagadaho anishanam Apaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama hetukam etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmano alpabhudayaha prabhavantyuga karmana shayaya jagato hitaha kamamashitya dushpuram dambamana danditaha mohadvihitva sadgrahan pravartante shuchivataha. Okay. Divya Shakti, do you want to read the translations? We're on chapter 16.
The Supreme Lord said, O Bharata, these are the qualities of a person born of a godly nature: fearlessness, gracious heartedness, absorption in self-knowledge, generosity, self-control, sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, sincerity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, worldly detachment, tranquility, disinclination to see the faults of others, compassion, freedom from greed, gentleness, modesty, steadfastness, vigor, forgiveness, patience, purity, and freedom from malice and egoism.
To 10. Up to 10.
O Partha, these are the qualities of a person born of an ungodly nature: pride, conceit, egoism, anger, cruelty, and ignorance. The godly qualities have been described as the cause of liberation, and the ungodly qualities have been described as the cause of bondage. O Pandava, do not fear, for you are born of a godly nature. O Partha, in this world the living beings are of two natures, the godly and the ungodly. I have elaborately described the godly nature to you. So now hear from me about the ungodly. The ungodly cannot distinguish between right and wrong action, No purity, good practices, or truthfulness can be found in them. The persons of ungodly nature say the world is without truth, baseless, godless, and that everything is born of male and female union. They say that life has no purpose beyond lust. Holding such a view, the demons deprived and of low intelligence become depraved. The demons depraved.
It's like degraded.
Oh, okay. Holding such a view, the demons depraved and of low intelligence become powerful and engage in cruel, inauspicious acts for the destruction of the world, giving themselves up to the delusion of insatiable desires for mundane enjoyment. Such demons, full of vanity, pride, and arrogance, engage in grave malpractices.
Okay. Wow. Those descriptions of the demonic nature sound very relevant in Kali Yuga, right?
Yeah. In our day.
In our day and age. Yeah. I'm also, as I was saying at the beginning, this and that, let me close this WhatsApp. Sorry, as I was saying in the beginning, we are told by the scriptures that through service to Krishna, through devotion to Krishna, all good qualities will come, right? And this isn't not a little, but greatly encouraging, because we may be looking through some of these demonic qualities thinking, oh man, I got that. That rings a bell. It's not just that a demon is some scary monster that you hear about in, Lord of the Rings. But we may look within our hearts and find, oh, I feel that some of these qualities are within me. But actually, our real concern is devotion to Krishna. And this point is also addressed in Bhagavad Gita, perhaps not so elaborately, but it is elaborated upon more in other scriptures, that what is a real concern is our connection with the eternal current, right? The nirguna plane. And everything of the saguna plane, it is temporary. And to have, godly sattvic qualities, at the final conclusion is not worth so much. If one has all good qualities but is disconnected from that eternal current of devotion to Krishna, then what they have doesn't count for very much, because it's all part of the dream. How do I close this? Still getting quit. Okay, should help. So it is that our real concern is with that eternal current, right? And also, as I was mentioning, through devotion to Krishna, all good qualities will come as a side effect, over time, right? Purifying. And this is mentioned many, many times in the different places in the scriptures. That reassurance, that promise is given because we're addressing that central point, because we're connecting with the universal, the fundamental flow. We're aligning ourselves with the fundamental current of devotion to Krishna, Krishna Bhakti. Then all goodness will come as a result, as an outcome of that. So that is our comfort, right? That is very encouraging for us. Everything will come as a result of that. But at the same time, it's a wonderful meditation, isn't it, to hear about these qualities, these godly qualities, and to try to strive towards them in as we can, to be reminded. And this is what I appreciate so much about Bhagavad Gita. It's like taking a bath. And when we read this, it's kind of like we're holding up a mirror, like squaring ourselves up with these things. Oh, how much am I really living by these principles? These are higher principles I want to try and live by. Self-knowledge, generosity, gracious heartedness, sense control, sacrifice, study of the scripture, austerity, sincerity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, worldly detachment, tranquility, disinclination to see the faults of others. See, all of these qualities are also very relevant to our spiritual cultivation and devotion. Compassion, freedom from greed, gentleness, modesty, steadfastness, vigor, forgiveness, patience, purity, and freedom from malice and egoism. And another interesting point about all these qualities is that if we follow them, they'll protect us from the greatest danger for our spiritual life, which is Vaishnava aparad, to make offenses to the Vaishnavas, to the saints, to live in animosity, criticism towards the saints, the Vaishnavas. And that is described, because they are so dear to the Lord, that is the greatest danger for our spiritual life. And that was really the principal reason why our Gurudev emphasized these principles of humility, tolerance, and respect, because he said they will protect us from Vaishnava aparad. That is the number one danger for our spiritual life. So if we live in this spirit, move in this gentle, godly spirit, then we will always be protected. And we will actually be able to practice the Yuga Dharma, the religion of the age of Harinam Sankirtan, right? The holy name of the Lord, that is the real key. That is the key, that is the gift in this age. But if our heart is contaminated by criticism, envy of the Vaishnavas, then we cannot access that, we cannot unlock that gift, that gracious, special grant that has been given for this age. So moving in this type of godly way protects us and puts us in a very good position to not only avoid making offenses, but also receiving the grace of the Vaishnavas. That's what we really want, ultimately. We want the grace of the Vaishnavas. So it's very, very beautiful to meditate, and very helpful for us to meditate on these qualities. They'll support our lives of devotion, practicing devotion. Anyone like to add any other comments? Oh, also Suvasini Didi also joined us. We're always so honored to have you, Didi. And the Dur Pri Didi is also here. You know who's here? Sue Devi. Sue Devi's here. It's like 3 a.m. or something. She's amazing.
Thunderbird. Hi.
Okay, so anyone want to add anything else, or should we continue with our reading? Reading, hearing, and chanting. Okay, then we'll go to verse 11.
परिमेयाञ्च प्रग्राहन् प्रवर्तन्ते शुचिव्रताः चिन्तामपरिमेयाञ्च प्रलयान्तामुपाश्रिताः कामोपभोगपरमाः एतावदिति निश्चिताः आशापाशशतैर्बद्धाः कामक्रोधपरायणाः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्नायेनार्थसञ्चयान् इदमुद्य मया लब्धम् इदं प्राप्स्ये मनोरथम् इदमस्तीदमपि मे भविष्यन्ति पुनर्धनम् असौ मया हतः शत्रुर्हनिष्ये चापरानपि ईश्वरोऽहमहं भोगी सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी अढ्योऽभिजानवानस्मि कन्योस्ति सदृशो मया यक्षे दस्यामि मोदिष्य इत्तज्ञानविमोहितः अनेकचित्तविभ्रान्ता मोहजालसमावृताः प्रसक्ता कामभोगेषु पतन्ति नरकेषु च आत्मसंभाविता स्तब्धा धनमानमदान्विता जजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेना विधिपूर्वकम् अहंकारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं च संस्थिता मामात्मपरदेहेषु प्रद्विषन्तोऽभ्यसूचका तानहं द्विषतः क्रूरान् संघरेषु नराधमान् क्षिप्तं मजस्रमशुभान् आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु आसुरीं जनिमापन्ना मूढ़ा जन्मनि जन्मनि मामा प्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो जान्तधमाङ्गतिम्.
Hey, that's so wonderful to hear Guru Days, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we can chant verses 11, 20 together. Chintam apadimeyancha palayantam apashitaha tamopabhoga paramay hitavaditi nishtitaha asha pasha shatir bada kama kruda parayanaha ihante kama bhogatam tanyayena sanchayam idam madhyamaya labdam idam prapsye manoratam idam astidam apti me bhavishyati punardanam aso maya hatha shachur anishe prapadam api ishwaroham bogi siddhoham balavam sukhi adyo vijanavam asmi konyosti sadrisho maya yakshe dasyami modishya Nitya Jnana Vimoditaha Aneka Chitta Vibranta Moha Jala Samavitaha Prasakta Kama Bhogeshu Patanti Narakeshu Cho Atma Sambhavita Stabda Dhanamana Madamnitaha Yajante Nama Yagyaste Dambena Vidipurvakam Ahankaram Balam Darpam Kamam Krodanja Samjitaha Mamatma Paradehishu Padvishanto Vyasukyataha Tanaham Vishata Kuran Samsadeshu Naradaman Shipam Yajasham Ashubam Asudisheva Yonishu Asudim Yonamapana Buddha Janmani Janmani Mama Prapyaiva Kunteya Tato Yantyadamam Gatim. Okay, well. Dulal Prabhu, do you want to read those translations?
I can. It's very loud in here. Maybe too
Okay,
loud.
maybe not then. Yeah. Adora Pri, do you want to read?
Sure. Just go back to 11.
Yeah, so 11 to 20. Do you mind if we shift back a little? Just to...
Oh yeah, I was gonna move this. I guess it'll be
And be careful of the splinters.
Okay.
Until death, they remain burdened with endless cares. They think that mundane enjoyment is the goal of life. Bound by hundreds of wishes and overcome with desire and anger, they endeavor to amass wealth unlawfully to fulfill their desires. The ungodly persons say, "Today I got what I wanted, and tomorrow I will also get what I want. All this is my wealth, and I will have even more in the future. I have destroyed one enemy, and I will destroy others. I am successful, powerful, and happy. I am wealthy and aristocratic. Who can compare with me? I shall perform sacrifice, give charity, and enjoy myself." Thus they are deluded by ignorance. Their minds full of vain thoughts, caught in the net of illusions, and engrossed in mundane enjoyment. Such ungodly persons fall to a foul hell. Conceited, obstinate, and intoxicated by wealth and grandeur, ignoring the scriptural injunctions, these demons make a hypocritical show of sacrifices. Given to egoism, pomp, and power, lust, and anger. They are resentful of me, whom am situated in their own and others' bodies as the super soul, and they ascribe faults to the good qualities of the saintly persons. I continually cast these resentful, cruel, inauspicious, and decadent persons into the demoniac species in the cycle of birth and death. O Kontaya, repeatedly taking birth in the demoniac species, these deluded persons cannot come to me, and they descend to lower and lower planes. Ouch.
Yeah.
Kontaya.
It's a name for Arjuna, son of Kunti. Yeah, it's like a Sanskrit grammatical instruction. Kunti, who comes from Kunti, like that, something like that. Wow.
But why would people from Kunti be repeatedly taking birth in the demoniac?
No, he's talking to
Addressing.
Arjuna, right?
Oh,
Saying, "Oh, Arjuna,"
thank you.
it's their conversation, right? Wow, pretty heavy, huh?
I don't know what to say.
And then they'll be like, well, no one else is doing it. I have to do it. And they'll like put themselves, because I'm giving charity, and they want to like even be more separate.
Well, their idea is that by giving charity, it's a calculated thing, right? By giving charity, then they're expecting the karmic reward, right? For they're preparing like for their future births, right? Like that.
Selfish interests and egoism.
Or they abuse it as a marketing strategy. You know, like,
Sorry, can you
oh,
start again? Couldn't hear you for a second.
oh, sorry. Or it's abused as a sales strategy. It like disguised as charity. Like, oh, a percent goes to support poor women in Africa. You know, like,
Right.
and then you look at it, it's like 99% of the winnings goes to the already millionaire person under demoniac guide, and 1% goes to the needy. So it's just looks like it supports, but it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even persons who don't know about the cycle of, believe in the cycle of karma, they do these things as a show for the world, right? To mask their true natures and try to make a good name for themselves and so on. So it's a very sad thing, actually, right? Where good action is done for an ungodly purpose. I'm reminded, I'd like to go and read, let me open up there in at the back of Prapana Jivanamrita. There's this one verse of Srila Sridharmarsh. It's in the Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dashakam, and it's absolutely brilliant. Let me find it here. He's talking about well, I suppose you could say in general Kali Yuga, but he's speaking about the environment in which Bhakti Vinod came to spread, to represent the dignity and the purity of Mahaprabhu's lineage. Let me find it here. It's an absolutely brilliant. So here we are, selected gems. Not this one. Here we go. And we heard Gurudev chanting all these, reciting all these verses by heart. Here we go. All right. Oh man, I just love this. Dharmas charma gato gyataiva satata yogas chabogatmako gyane shunya gatir japena tapasa kyatir jikam saivacha dane dambikata nuraga bhajane dushta pacharo yada buddhim buddhimatam vibeda hitada datra bhavan preshitaha. At a time when religion was evaluated in terms of bodily relationship, so referring to like bloodline, because in many lineages in India, in the Vedic tradition, there's this emphasis on the bloodline, right? Brahmin, Goswami, birth, right? Or etc. Saint. So at a time when religion was evaluated in terms of bodily relationship, saintliness was determined by ignorance. So this is referring like to persons, let's say, who take the Babaji way of life. And Babaji is actually a very high position, you know, where one has reached such an exalted level of consciousness that they don't need to follow any rules, regulations, or any particular, regulated way of practice. But they're just absorbed. The idea is that a Babaji is, they've transcended all social norms, religious norms, and they're just living in this state of like free, spontaneous devotion. And the Babajis, because of that, they often are somewhat eccentric and odd in their mode